11 obligatory acts. Those 11 are the niyyah, intention before we start the salah, takbiratul ihram, saying Allahu Akbar, standing up, ruku', and 2 sujood. These obligations are called rukn. These 5 obligations are rukn. Making mistake in any of these would void the salah, whether it's intentional or unintentional. So even if I forgot to do the ruku' unintentionally, the salah would be void. The other acts that are not rukn, there are 6 others: qira'ah, recitation of the Quran; dhikr, which is saying what we say during ruku' and during sujood; tashahhud, bearing witness; salam, salutation; tartib, which is sequence; and muwalat, which is regular sequence, succession. So don't leave pause between those parts. These 6 are also obligatory acts we have to do, but these are not rukn, meaning if I made a mistake unintentionally, the salah will be okay. If I intentionally omitted one of them, salah will be void. So these 11 we have to do them for the salah to be right. However, making a mistake unintentionally or forgetting one of the 6 at the bottom, it's not a problem. But making a mistake in the first 5, even if it's unintentional, the salah will be void. I will repeat the first 5 so you know if there's a mistake in them to immediately stop the salah and repeat it. Niyyah, having intention to do the salah. Takbiratul ihram, standing. But for standing, there is an asterisk here because there is detail. I will tell it later. Ruku', which is bowing, and 2 sajda in every rak'ah. If, for example, I am in the first rak'ah, I am doing sujood, and I remember that I didn't do ruku', the salah will be void, and I have to stop it and repeat. Now, standing, there is an asterisk because it is standing meaning in 2 wajib times and 1 ihtiyat wujubi. The first wajib is when we're doing takbiratul ihram. So standing up during takbiratul ihram, and is it enough? Sorry for the
technology.
No, that's fine. In fact, I will suggest that for the kids, because I've been teaching this sort of thing in the madrasa. Are you following it? Because Mashallah is explaining very nicely, but a little bit faster. Are you sure? Because this is really, really important. Those 5, those 11, 5 of them are very important. So even if you forget, start again.
Sure.
So make sure that you know all these, like in your tips. These are the rukuni, like a pillars, which is the pillars will fall. And the other wajibat, which are not rukuni, so might stray and forget, it will be fine.
So while we're getting technical issues sorted, so if we have the ruku and we have gone down into sajda, but we haven't completed the sajda, and we remember we forgot the ruku.
If you forgot the ruku', the salah will be void.
And you've gone into the next act.
So you break the salah and you repeat from the beginning.
Can I ask you? Remember, then stand up again.
Okay. So to break the salah, maybe we were going to come to it later. Breaking the salah, it's mustahab to do it either by saying Assalamu alaikum in the position of the salam. So anytime you want to break the salah, it is mustahab to do it in the proper way of. Usually we end the salah with taslim. So at any time you want to break the salah, sit down as if you're doing taslim and say Assalamu alaikum, and that's how you end it.
So no
No, just Assalamu alaikum. You don't have to say the whole taslim.
Right.
Okay. So basically, when you realize there's a problem, you just and you have to cut the. By the way, you don't have the right to stop the salah without the reason. So if you just felt like it, you know what? I still have time. I'm going to cut it now, and I will do the salah later. You don't have that right. So there has to be a reason for you to cut the salah. One of them is a shak, doubt, and one of them is, as you said, you forget a rukn. So what you do is you need to cut the salah. Okay? So what you do is you sit as if you're doing tashahhud and taslim, and you say Assalamu alaikum. Okay? That's the mustahab way. You can not do that. You can just immediately stop. But it is better to give your back to the Qibla once, so you know you are out of Salah, before you start with new takbir al-ihram. Okay. So we said we have the wajib, the rukn, the seven, the five. Sorry, this is the right slide. Takbiratul ihram.
Maximum.
Slideshow.
Yeah.
Yeah, better.
It's better. Okay. Nia. Takbiratul ihram. Standing during takbiratul ihram. This is the first time, and before going to ruku', this is the second time. So generally, how we do it is, we say takbiratul ihram, we read Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah Qul Huwallahu Ahad or whatever surah, and then we go to ruku'. The obligation is actually to be standing up during takbiratul ihram and just before you go to ruku'. This is a very detailed fiqh problem. You don't have to worry about it, but not standing generally. And also the two sajdas together are rukn, not one sajda. There are precautions. This results in different ahkam, but generally, if you forgot one sajda, there is solution. Your prayer is solvable. But if you forgot two sajda, for example, you did ruku' and you either never went down, or you went down but you sat on the ground and didn't do any of the two sajdas, and then you stood up for the second rak'ah or third rak'ah, whatever. In that case, you have forgot a rukn and the salah will be void. Not gonna go too long on here because I want to move. So last time we stopped at al-qira'ah, and we said this is Surah Al-Fatiha. I'm going to read it quickly and highlight the areas where people make mistakes. Okay? What you will see here in gray, that's a letter you don't pronounce. In blue, a letter you have to stress, and in E, a letter you have to prolong. But in orange. Forget this. We don't need to do that. So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Now, if you can't say ha, can't say Rahman, and you have to say Rahman, it's not a problem. But try to say it Rahman or Rahim. Alhamdu lillahi Rabbil Alameen. Al-Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now, don't say Al-Rahmani, say Ar-Rahmani. This lam doesn't pronounce. Ar-Rahmani. Ar-Rahim. Some people say Al-Rahmani al-Rahim. It's wrong. You should say Ar-Rahmani al-Rahim. Maliki or Maliki, both are okay. Maliki yawmiddin, not yawmi al-din, yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu. If you can't say na'budu, this is letter ayn. Don't have equivalent to it in English or any other language. You can't say ayn, you can't say na'budu, and you have to say na'budu or na'budu. It's okay. The best, try and say it as much as you can, but of course, if you can't say it, that's not a problem. That's okay. Many people say na'budu or na'budu, that's fine. وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. This has two pronunciations, as-sirata and as-sirata. Maybe you can't figure the difference in English, but in Arabic there are two different letters. Sin, very light, and sad, very deep. So sirat and sirat both are accepted. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. But you have to make this very light. Sin, mustaqim. Do not say mustaqim. I know so many Arab people, because this is heavy on the tongue, and tah is very heavy. So when they arrive here, and qaf is very heavy, so they say as-sirat al-mustaqim, and this is wrong. This voids have their salah, by the way, especially Arabs. So اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Sirata, again, sirata with sad or sirata with sin. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. غير can't say it, say غير, that's fine. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Finally, ضاد, مغضوب, ضالين. This is like a very heavy D.
Dal.
Yes, dal, ضاد.
That's.
So if you can't say it, most people say ضالين, غير المغضوب ولا الضالين. Actually, it's better if you say مغضوب with dal, D, like English D letter. So مغضوب and ضالين. It's better than saying maghzub, because if you say maghzub, it is as if it was zay, another Arabic letter. But if you say maghdub, that's closer to maghdub. So if you can't say maghdub, say maghdub. If you can't say ضالين, say دالين. And try to make that D strong. In French they say dur, which means strong D. مخضوب, ضالين. Okay? Now, usually when people read Surah Al-Fatiha, they read each ayah and they pause after each ayah. If you do like this, that's perfect. If you want to join two ayahs, especially when you're reading quickly, you have to pay attention to the last, the tashkil or accent on the last letter. So I'll give an example. We say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This meme doesn't have an accent when we pause at it. But in actuality it has E. So if I want to join it, it becomes ar-Rahim milhamdu. So if I pause, it is ar-Rahim. If I join, it is ar-Rahimi. So if I am pausing, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. However, if I am joining them, I will say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay? So if you want to join them, pay attention to that. Anyone here joins them? Okay, because I'm not going to go into details because they are very different. If you want to join them. And by the way, it is mustahab to not read the whole thing with one breath.
Right.
So some people do that, but it is makruh, especially in Surah Qul Huwallahu Ahad. Because it's short, some people say it in one breath. It is mustahab to pause at least once. So here we go to Surah Qul Huwallahu Ahad.
Sorry, one question. So if I'm reading like Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So those two, I mean, is it okay? Is the speed too quick and do they seem joined up?
I think
Alhamdulillah
they
Rabbil
do.
Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
I think they do.
So the speed is too quick.
Yeah, I think they do. This is how you should. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You don't have to take a new breath, but you have to pause at least for like 1 second.
100 milliseconds.
Half a second at least.
Yes, if you take a new breath, that's perfect, but sometimes you don't need to take a breath for each ayah.
So, something. We just had the Alimutada Disa, right?
Bismillah.
Coincidentally, he actually mentioned something that if you do it and we would pause because Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman, all 7 words actually our duas. So, as I said, Prophet said, very nice, it's makruh to do it together, but if you pause it thinking that each of the dua, that will lift it up even higher.
Think about
So,
the meaning.
don't forget about joining it, separate it, but if you give it like a, think about it as separate, Bismillah ar-Rahman, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman, each of these words, ayat, is actually a dua. He just mentioned a couple of days ago in the majlis. So he said, if you want to lift it even further, to put more weight into your salah, that's the best way to do it. But
Actually,
not
it's very
difficult.
mustahab to think about the meaning, and people like who are 60, 70 years old, every time they read it 5 times a day. So that's like hundreds of thousands of times. And they still think about it, and there are so many meanings to find out of this. One of our ulama was starting to do tafsir al-Quran, but he spent like 3 years and then he died. And he only did Surah Al-Fatiha, about 20 volumes. So there are so many knowledge in here. So,
And especially for the youngers, those who are non-Arabic speaker, I would recommend that, I've been teaching the madrasa for many years, that for at least those 3-4 surahs, one Alhamdulillah, the must, you need to know what the meanings are. It's no point, the pronunciation you need to, and then those 2 surahs which we recommended is like you cite as Surah Kawthar or Surah Qadr, and the second we recommended to Surah Tawheed. So at least these 3 surah or 4 surah, Alhamd, Surah Tawheed, Surah Qadr or Kawthar. At least you need to know what you're saying to Allah. As the Prophet said, I have seen it many years, unfortunately, in Pakistan, other non-Arab, spending years and years and years, don't know what you're saying.
yeah. And start with Surah Al-Fatiha and Qul Huwallahu Ahad.
So, Brother Muhammad, if you, as you said, if you read all surah in just in one go, in one breath,
Yes.
so it's a makruh.
Surah Qul Huwallahu Ahad specifically, it is makruh to do it in one way during Salah.
Or Surah Al-Hamd.
I don't think you can.
Because I've seen people they do in Prophet of Praha.
100 miles per hour.
Challenge. मुझे तो नहीं देख लिया।
Sorry, it's a discussion. I've just heard from this, we know, you know. He said me specifically mentioned, I can't remember if it is in Majlis or at our home because he was staying with us. He said if you do it separately and with a breath and thinking, that's the best way. But most likely doing anything faster would be a makruh.
A general rule.
Like Tawheed does.
Recitation.
General rule. Every makruh is allowed. It is makruh. It's better not to do it, but it is allowed. So if you do it, your prayer will be okay. Now I know reciters like Abdul Basit and Hisham, they do the whole thing in one go. Actually, they're not. They're stealing their breath between them. But if you
I've
can
never
do
seen
it,
Qari Abdul Basit, but I've seen another one, Iranian Qari, which is I've seen last couple of years in Hidayat TV and Ahlul Bayt TV.
Yes.
Before Azan, they do
Oh,
it
yes,
in one
yes.
gap.
What they're trying to, I think they are trying to display something else. Yes, there is actually a video common with one of the Pakistani Qari and the Irani Qari. What they were trying to show possibly that the proper Tajweed rule. They reciting the whole thing, taking maybe a minute or two or more than that,
But
and without breaking their breath.
there is a science behind this.
That's
They
amazing.
steal the breath without you realizing. They say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rah. They steal small breaths between words, but we don't have to go into that.
No, sure.
But I studied that, but we don't have to go into that. Generally, and that recitation, by the way, which is called tajweed, when they go back and forth and they stretch, it's not very good way to read the Quran. And in Salah, it's mawda' ishkal. So it's better to do tartil, not tajweed. Tartil, reading, giving every letter its due, right? And recitation without singing.
Okay. Say, but the Quran should be clear.
ورتل القرآن ترتيلا. Tajweed, however, it's mawda' ishkal. Some maraja say it is haram, like say Shirazi say it is haram to read with tajweed. I know many people, I'm including one of them. I don't listen to Minshawi and Abdul Basit when they are doing tajweed when they are going back and forth a long time, because it puts you in a state of tarab, which is makruh or sometimes haram.
State of what?
Tarab.
Tarab.
Actually, people do see people do say, some of them say this, you can't do Rina in Adhan.
Yeah, it's a huge topic. It's a very detailed
Right, again,
topic.
let's move
We're
on,
gonna
inshallah.
go into it. Inshallah, maybe later.
Yeah.
So Surah Qul Huwa Allahu Ahad, again I will read it quickly. Qul, not Qul, not K, it's Qa. Qul Huwa Allahu Ahad. Allahu Samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Now this is, we don't pronounce noon. It is وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ, but this noon is omitted and we say يَكُلْ لَهُ as if it's not here. وَلَمْ يَكُلْ لَهُ. So ya, kaf, yaku, and lam, يَكُلْ لَهُ. And this lam has a shadda, so it's pronounced twice. وَلَمْ يَكُلْ لَهُ كُفْوًا أَحَدٍ. Now this letter kufwan, as we said, could be pronounced in 4 ways. كُفْوًا أَحَدٍ, كُفْأً أَحَدٍ, كُفُوًا أَحَدٍ, and كُفُوًا أَحَدٍ. So usually people say kufuwan, that's fine. Ahad. Now there's a problem. Ahad, some people say kufuwan ahad. Ahad. There is hamza. You have to make it clear. Kufuwan ahad. Ahad. Don't say kufuwan ahad. Kufuwan ahad is different than kufuwan ahad. There is a sound there, okay? قل هو الله أحد. الله الصمد. Please don't pronounce. لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Okay?
Can I just add something? In fact, you all probably know Atullah al-Rabi, greatest Salim. He actually mentioned something. I got a small 2-minute video. He said, when he said kul means to eat, kul means to say. God forbid if he said kul huwallahu ahad, he said, I don't want to say it, what the translation would be. And then he said something very important. When we try not to make our effort, so if we God forbid saying kul, eat. The rest of them, Allahu Ahad, I don't want to say it. He didn't say it, but he said, thank God that Allah doesn't punish you, because what you are saying is absolutely, he didn't translate it. So basically saying we need to make some effort.
So this verb here is ordering us to say Allah is one. Qul, say Allah is one. If we don't say qa, if we don't say qul, and we said qul, it's changed the meaning, and it's actually might be, as he said, kind of kufr, but of course it's not intentional. So try and make effort. قل هو الله أحد. Okay? Now we're moving to ruku'. Now, of course, in each ruk'ah there is a ruku', and ruku' is when you bend until your back is parallel to the ground, like this. Okay? And it is mustahab to have your hand on your knees. It's not actually not wajib. The form of ruku', four main, is the back should be steady and straightforward. So if there was water on it, it won't spill. This is how they say in the Kutub of Fiqh. The hand is around the knee, kneecap, and the fingers are like this. This is the best way, okay? So like this, and around the whole kneecap, okay? In order for you to be able to do that, you want to sort of turn your elbows inside, so don't keep them straight, and put them outside. It's called tajnih. And this form is the perfect form. Okay? This is mustahab now. You don't have to do all this. But this is a mustahab. There are so many mustahab forms of salah. Maybe we can talk about them, but I want to keep it short.
Inshallah, whatever we can pick
No,
up.
please do mention some mustahabat, because again somebody just mentioned that how people become
Okay.
higher
In order
into
to elevate
in
the...
the
Can we have one of the lights, please?
Back,
more
back.
that you do, the better the value of the salah will be.
Thank you. Okay. So very quickly, when we are doing salah, takbiratul ihram, it is mustahab to raise your hands. Okay. And how you do it? The fingers are straight. The thumb is straight with them. Okay. And it is facing the Kaaba, like this. And you go Allahu Akbar. Okay. Until they reach close to your neck, and then you lower them. So once they leave your thighs, when they're going up, you say Allahu Akbar, and you stop at when they are up, Allahu Akbar would finish then, and then you are in the salah, you lower them down. Okay, this is the perfect way of doing a takbir. The hands during the salah are like this on your thigh. If you are wearing a big jacket, push the hand back until it reaches the thigh. Okay. So don't leave the hand like this.
Like leave it, it's mustahab, keep it.
And we are now talking mustahab. It's not wajib, we're talking mustahab, the perfect form of salah.
So you can't keep them on the side.
It's not one
You
side,
can
this side.
put in this, you can like this, you can like this, you can like this. It's all acceptable. I am now talking the perfect form. Salatu Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
As narrated by Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And if you want these details, you can find them in the Ta'liqatul Arwat al-Wuthqa by Sayyid Sistani, which is a book which has more detailed fiqh than the Risala al-Ahkam or Risala al-Ilmiya. Like we have the book where he has this Ahkam, it's called Risala al-Ilmiya, okay, Minhaj al-Salihin. And there is another book which is a bigger one called At-Ta'liq ala al-Arwat al-Wuthqa. You will find all these mustahabs. So this is how we stand. This is the perfect way of stand. For qunut, for dua, this is how we do qunut. Okay, parallel to the sky, the hands near your chin, and you recite like this. You can do this, whatever, but this is the perfect one.
So when you stand up for namaz, how much the gap should be between your both legs? I've seen some people, they just stand like that.
Yes.
Cheek,
Okay.
does it make any difference?
Not touching, a little bit separated.
Just a one pillow.
A little bit separated, yes. Not too much also. So it is common sense.
So when you get closer, does it
it
is still okay? Or?
It's okay, all your shoulder. Standing, anything that can be called standing up is acceptable. So if they are touching, that's fine. Okay? When you're standing, your hands should be down, right? Don't do it like this. So any form, unless there's no-
There actually video. Engineer Muhammad Ali Mirza in Urdu, he said that one of the Russians said that he said, he said people said that somebody said that Prophet just started Allahu Akbar and then he put his back down where he started from. So
Yes.
he's saying that Al Sunnah should be doing like that.
Yeah.
It's a very new, I don't know how many,
I've
just
seen it.
a couple of weeks,
Sure.
months ago, they're saying that Allahu Akbar, so he starts from here, you should go back to the place where he started. See, some people don't stand like that, you stand like that. So you go like that, Allahu Akbar, where should it go back? Here.
So it's
So
done.
basically saying that we are right, and they're not all the
Yeah, yeah.
So the
So,
Maliki-
so anyway, you
Maliki
put
can-
your hands, anything that could be called they are straight, that's fine. Like this, my father always does like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
My grandfather does like this. He was an army man. This is how he does it. He stand up. He's always doing it like this. But when we read the books of fiqh, we realize this is the best way. This is how we do it. So all of it is accepted. When you're doing qunut, any form is accepted. But this is the perfect form. Okay. Now during ruku', as I said, you do like this, tajneen. Your hand is like this, and you're surrounding your knee. Okay. This is how you do ruku', right? And this is all for men, by the way. Women is very different. But it's all mustahab, so there is no worries. Okay. Now we come to, we continue ruku' and we'll go to sujood. We'll talk about the form of sujood. That is perfect. Okay. Ruku'. during ruku' you have to be steady. Steady, don't move. And you have to do recitation or dhikr. The dhikr is usually, you have two options. Either Subhan Rabbi al-Azim wa bihamdih, Subhan Rabbi al-Azim wa bihamdih once. Or Subhanallah 3 times. Or Subhanallahi, Subhanallahi, Subhanallah. If you want to join it, say Subhanallahi, Subhanallahi, Subhanallah. Or you say Subhanallah, pause, Subhanallah, then pause, and then Subhanallah. There are other options. You can say Allahu Akbar 3 times. You can say La ilaha illallah 3 times. Okay? This is for ruku'. The dhikr itself, no matter what it is, whether it is Subhana Rabbi al-Azim wa bihamdih or 3 times Subhanallah, when you say it, you have to be in the form of ruku' and steady. You're not moving. So when you go like this, don't start saying when you're going down. Okay? You go like this, you're steady. Okay? Now you say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim wa bihamdih. You finish saying what you need to say, and then you move back. Don't move during the saying. That is why we say added extra sayings like Salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad and other things. That's why we say more than once. It is actually mustahab to do it in groups 3, 5 or 7 times. Some people say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim wa bihamdih 7 times in each ruku'. There are people like that, believe it or not. So we're saying it once, let's make it perfect. Let's start after we're steady and don't move until we finish it.
I think a rule of thumb, apart from Bihawlillahi wa quwwatihi wa quma wa qawd, all the dhikr should be when the body is stationary. Because that's you can't up. It's like you can't say Sami'allahu. You stand up and then say. So when you say Bihawlillahi wa quwwatihi wa quma, you are moving, the body is moving. Apart from that, every single dhikr should be ideally when the body is stationary. So
Just a quick one. When we do Jamaat, when the Maulana stand up, while he says Sami Allahu liman hamida,
Yes.
so while we are doing this, he goes back to the sajda. So are we doing it while moving, or we have to say first and then? Because we are just following in.
You have to say it at least once. So usually in the ruku', the Imam will have stayed for long. So you would have enough time to say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim wa bihamdi. Now usually he would say Subhanallah, 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 and they would say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If you fear you are going to miss, you don't have to say all that. So you can stand up after him. In Jama'ah, before, not before.
I think before.
Never before.
either a bit or behind.
There are so many details about Jama'ah.
We have to have a separate inshallah.
Yes, but generally the question was, he said Sami Allahu liman hamida and he went directly to sujood, and you fear you might miss out. So you stand up, but there is important to stand. You can't go directly from ruku', or some people go like this and they immediately go back. They haven't stood. You have to stand. The standing after ruku' is important.
So I've observed that when you're following a Jamaat, there's enough time for you to do every act.
Yeah.
There's enough time. In fact, while this Maulana or the Shaykh, whoever you're following, is in ruku and saying Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, they say only 1 time. In that 1 time, I can say 3 times.
Yeah, they say it's so.
Or you can say Subhanallah, Subhanallah.
7 times, yeah.
Yes.
So
So say Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah 3 times. Sometimes you can say only once if there is a constraint, like a sick person, you can't stay long, or if it is like short time, it's like Salatul Fajr and the sun is about to rise in like 1 minute, so you can say only once Subhanallah. It's going to be very quick, by the way.
saying once will take about a minute, second.
Okay. So after you finished, you have to stand up completely and steadily for at least 1 second. Now we say Sami Allahu liman hamidah. This is all added extra. You don't have to say anything. And then you say Allahu Akbar. You don't need to say any of that. Actually, if we have time, we might come to say what is the bare minimum of the salah. And usually, after you go Subhana Rabbi al-Azim wa bihamdih, stand just 1 second, and then go directly to sujood. You don't have to say anything. Why we say is to make sure we stand. Okay? And there is extra thawab because it's mustahab to say Allahu Akbar. Okay?
The more you
So
put,
that's
the more you get.
yes. So standing before ruku' is actually wajib, as we said, rukn. Standing after the ruku', I think it's ihtiyat wujubi. Now we come to sujood. When we're doing sujood means in Arabic humbling, khudu', okay? Humbling to Allah. That's why you will say they say al-abd, the person who's doing the prayer, is closest to Allah during the sujood, because he is a true abd. There is no ana. You don't
No
see
arrogance.
yourself
Yeah.
as something, right? When you don't,
many
because if you say something that is sharik, this is shirk. Some people worship themselves without realizing. They say themselves like being great. That's why doing the ruku' is the closest to when a person is closest to Allah. When you're doing sujood, there are 7 masajid. Now I don't know if there is word masjid and there is word masjid. Okay, masjid is different than masjid. Masjid is like a mosque, okay, or the place the part of your body you place on the ground when you do sujood. That is masjid. Masjid is where you do sujood, like turban.
Mm.
So anyway, masjid, there are 7 masajid. These are the forehead, the middle of the forehead. Okay, unless for example you have a wound and you can't touch the ground with this, so you go a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left. So this is jabha. This is where the masjid should be. You might go to jabin if you can't do on jabha. So this is the jabha, the middle of the forehead. The palms of the hands, both palms from the wrist to the starting point of the fingers. This square has to be touching the ground. Now, I'm not saying the fingers shouldn't be on the ground. They can be. Okay? They can be on the ground, they can be up. That doesn't matter. What matters is the palm itself. Okay? And when we say the palm, the whole palm. So actually when you're praying, say on a mat, on a rug, or in a dirt, on sand, it's easy to touch the whole thing. But when you're praying, say on marble, right? It's very
or wood,
or wood floor, or in mashahid, it is marble. Sometimes you don't, it doesn't touch the earth. The middle of the palm doesn't touch. You have to press. You have to press it. Sometimes I have doubt whether it was touching or not. So I push it and I say Subhana Rabbi al-A'la wa bihamdih again. Because you need to say Subhan one time. Subhana Rabbi al-A'la one time. You can say more. So I am in sujood, I say Subhana Rabbi al-A'la wa bihamdih, and then I have doubt. Did I push it? No, I didn't. Maybe it wasn't touching. So push it and say from the top, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la wa bihamdih, or Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Actually, in sujood, the saying is the same. Subhana Rabbi al-A'la wa bihamdih, or Subhanallah, 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 or Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, or La ilaha illallah 3 times. So, this is first masjid, this is the second one. People who do like this, it's a problem.
Oh no, when you don't focus, if you don't know it, by the time you put it like that. So at the moment my palms aren't touching. And many of us do it because we don't know it. That's why you have to make sure it's touching.
First time it might be trouble to keep your mind on everything, but with time it will be second nature. You won't think about it. So this is touching the ground, and so this is 1 masjid, 2, 3, and then 2 knees, 4, 5, and the big toe. The big toes. Not everything. The big toe is the one important to touch. The rest, not a problem. If they touch, it's okay. If they don't, that's not a problem. Some people, the big toe is shorter